This Thursday night, the NFL season kicks off with the two most disliked teams in town, the Cowboys at the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Walters has tons of TVs both inside and out and has you covered all football season, located just across the street from the ballpark.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
There's Heriberto Hernandez, right-handed hitter, the pitch. Hernandez grounds one to third. DeYoung has it to second for one. Garcia all day to first for two. A double play. Cavalli pumps his fist and smacks his glove on the way back to the dugout. He gets out of a big-time pickle. After loading the bases, he gets a first-pitch double play off the bat of Hernandez, and the Marlins do not score.
2-2 delivery, and Wood hits it high in the air to deep left field. This is way back of the warning track. It's going, and gone. Goodbye. Bang! Soon goes James Wood. His 27th home run of the year. A soaring fly ball to straightaway left field, sending Heriberto Hernandez to the wall, only to watch. RBIs 85 and 86. A 2-run homer for James Wood. And it's now the Nationals 5 and the Marlins 2.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. Well, in this crazy, unpredictable world in which we live, we now can say this: the 2025 Nationals will not set a new record for most losses by the team in a regular season since the franchise moved to Washington, D.C. Tuesday evening, a 5-2 win over the Miami Marlins at Nationals Park in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The Nats now are 55 and 83. Worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League. But the worst that the Nats can do is tie the 2022 Nats, who went 55 and 107. So, hey, there is that. But the Nats have won 2 consecutive games, a nice bounce-back outing by starting pitcher Cade Cavalli, more excellence by the Nats bullpen. Left fielder James Wood homered. Tuesday night was a good night. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you are interested in sponsoring the podcast. We'd love to have you on board. Contact the man who runs the podcast, Tim Shovers. Again, that email address, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. The Nats have won the first 2 games of a series for the first time since July 21st and July 22nd. It had been a month and a half since the Nats won the first 2 games of a series, but the team now has done that. Good to see that. Mark, so far, so good for the Nats in this series against the Marlins.
It is nice to face a Marlins team that's not owning them the way that, unfortunately, they seem to have done here earlier this season and at times in the past, even when Miami itself has not been very good. You know, if you didn't know any better and you just watched these 2 games, you would say that the Nationals are the clearly superior team to the Miami Marlins. Now, that may not be a very high bar to cross, but we know the standings say that the Nats have been much worse than the Marlins. But they have been in full control of these 2 games, thanks to good starting pitching, some timely hitting, and a lights-out bullpen. Yes, I said it, a lights-out bullpen that has been on an incredible run, 17 consecutive scoreless innings for your Nationals bullpen in the most surprising development of the season to date.
It's amazing. Earlier this season, James Wood was homering like crazy, and the bullpen was horrendous. And now here we are, and James Wood is barely homering, although thankfully he did homer on Tuesday evening, and the Nats bullpen is surging. It just goes to show you, over 162 So many things can and will change, and we've seen that with this Nats team this season. But Cade Cavalli, we talked on the last installment of the podcast, how would he respond off his bad outing in his last start, the 11-2 loss for the Nats at the New York Yankees last Wednesday afternoon, August 27th. Cavalli in that game, 8 runs, 7 earned in 2 and a third innings. He'd been so good for the Nats since being recalled from AAA Rochester on August 6th, and he has that blow-up start at the Yankees on August 27th. But Cavalli on Tuesday evening was back to being good. 2 runs in 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. He gave up just 4 hits, all of which were singles. He issued a hit by pitch and a wild pitch, but he threw a ton of strikes, 75 pitches, 53 strikes, just 22 balls. And even the 2 runs that he gave up in this game really weren't that big of a deal. Some sloppiness by the Nats on display. You know, you look at Cavalli now, 6 starts since being brought up. The ERA is 4.85, but that is inflated big time by that start at the Yankees. But how about the strikeouts to walks ratio? 28 strikeouts, 8 walks. His stuff, for the most part, has been superb. Another encouraging outing here for Cade Cavalli.
Absolutely. And, I don't want to get too bogged down in the game by game and the final pitching lines and all that. I think take a step back and look at what he has done. And really, with just the exception of that Yankee game, they've all been good to great. He's been burned a couple times by some late home runs that changed the final lines. But again, overall, there is nothing but positive feelings in my mind to have about what Cade Cavalli has done. Bounced back from that start against obviously an inferior Marlins lineup, but took care of business, got himself out of a jam in the second inning, inducing a double play grounder, had the good life on his fastball to get the strikeouts. The 2 runs, there was some fluky stuff. It was some weak ground balls. There was some sloppy defense behind him. Finishes strong, 1, 2, 3, 5th with a couple of strikeouts. Could have kept going, but at 75 pitches in 5 innings, Miguel Cairo said that's enough. And I think this is something to keep in mind here over the rest of the season. He's now up over the 100 inning mark for the season between the majors and the minors. That's a big number for him, given where he has come from and what he has gone through. And the thing we heard all along is they were keeping him at AAA, and we said, why hasn't he come up yet? They said, once he's here, we want him to stay up here. We don't want to have to shut him down or anything like that. And I think you saw in this game a good example of how they're going to do that. Yes, he was cruising. Yes, they could have sent him back out there for another inning or 2. But they want to make sure he's good to go all the way through the end of September. So you pull him after 5 and 75. That's fine. Right now, the most important thing they can do is send Cade Cavalli to the mound every 5 days. Hopefully he has some success, and he has for the most part, and get through the finish line healthy with, let's say 120 innings or so total for the year. That would be a great position. One of the most encouraging things we would say about the entire 2025 season for the Nationals.
And specific to the stuff, look, pre the Tommy John surgery, we knew he had great stuff. You always wonder, post the surgery, what is the stuff going to look like? He has had such a bizarre last few years in terms of it taking so long for him to get back to the majors, that his stuff has been so good, that his velocity has been so high, that he's striking guys out, that he's not issuing walks. That might be the single most encouraging thing. Like, if you're going to specify something that in particular really gets you excited about what you're seeing with Cavalli here, the stuff really makes you feel like, you know what, maybe, just maybe, this guy who was taken with a first-round pick all the way back in 2020 just might pan out. It's going to take a lot longer than anybody ever wanted, but maybe, just maybe, this can work, because the stuff right now is exactly what you would want it to be.
It's a 97 to 99 mile an hour fastball. It's a high 80s breaking ball and a 90 mile an hour changeup. That's elite stuff. As we talked about, this is the best stuff they've had from a starting pitcher, I believe, since Steven Strasburg. You have that combined with the fact that, knock on wood, he has not shown any signs of any physical ailments here since he was called up, and really going back a ways this summer, no issues that we are aware of. So that's important, to be able to regain the velocity that he had prior to the surgery, sustain it, and keep taking the mound every 5 days. That's everything you could have asked for. And I know it was a frustrating path to get here. And who knows what might have been different, both for him and for the team, if he had somehow been able to make it back sooner to the big leagues. But if there's a silver lining to this all, it does seem like it's worked out in the end. And if he gets through this month in good shape, you're going to feel really good about his place in this rotation heading into 2026. Yeah, I would have loved for the dream scenario with him. We didn't get that. But other than being delayed, it pretty much has otherwise been a dream scenario, I think.
By the way, you would put his stuff ahead of Mackenzie Gore's?
I think the full complement of it all, yes. Now, Gore has the huge strikeout numbers, and no question his stuff is good, but he's not consistently throwing 98, 99. He doesn't throw a changeup in the 90s. So, it's a little different righty versus lefty and all that. I think Gore is really more about the breaking balls, and they're elite. When he can command that curveball, it's kind of untouchable. With Cavalli, it just reminds me so much of the Strasburg arsenal. Upper 90s fastball, hard breaking ball, and 90-mile-an-hour changeup as a right-hander. It reminds me a lot of what Strasburg threw early in his career. And that's not a knock on Gore at all. It's a different approach, a little different repertoire that he has. But I do think it is the best pure stuff that we've seen from anyone on this team since Steven Strasburg.
Hey, a great supporter of the Nats Chat podcast for years now has been Window Nation. If you want new windows, if you need new windows, contact Window Nation. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you. That helps out this podcast a lot. And that gets you a great deal on great Window Nation windows. In fact, now is the best time of year to get new windows. Whether you have old, drafty windows or cheap builder-grade windows, September is the perfect month to protect your home from cooler weather. And right now, Window Nation is offering its most popular offer: buy 2 replacement windows, get 2 for free. Plus, you won't pay any interest, pay any monthly payments, or pay any down payment for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. With Window Nation, you get top quality windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price, because Window Nation knows that replacing windows is an investment, and Window Nation wants to make the investment affordable to you. And do not miss this great offer from Window Nation. For listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, the offer is good until September 30th. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and you pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Ferrer, the long look in. Now he sets at the belt. The kick and the pitch. Check swing, they'll appeal. Strike 3, says the umpire at first, and this one is over. Nationals win it 5-2. Cade Cavalli gets his second win. Jose Ferrer saved number 6. He has been dominant, 11 consecutive scoreless appearances. James Wood homers. The Nationals win Game 2, and they've clinched a series win over the Marlins and will go for the sweep tomorrow.
Well, Cade Cavalli is striking guys out, and Nats relievers continue to strike guys out. More excellence from the Nats bullpen in this game. A 5-2 win over the Marlins on Tuesday evening, fueled in no small part by the bullpen. 5 Nats relievers combining for 4 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts. Mark mentioned the stat earlier. Nats relievers now have combined for 17 consecutive scoreless innings. We had P.J. Poulin tossing a scoreless, hitless, and walkless top of the 6th with 3 strikeouts. This despite him committing a one-out throwing error. We had Cole Henry tossing a scoreless and hitless top of the 7th. We had Connor Pilkington tossing 2/3 of a scoreless inning. Now, he in the top of the 8th faced 4 batters, but got just 2 outs. He issued 2 walks, and so that brought Jackson Rutledge into the game. He faced 1 batter, got 1 out, but it was a big out. Rutledge induced a flyout by the Marlins' number 6 batter, Connor Norby, with runners on first and second, 2 outs, and the Nats up 5-2 in the top of the 8th, and then Jose A. Ferrer, a perfect top of the 9th for the save. So I think a few things stand out here. Number 1, P.J. Pooling continues to get the job done, continues to generate strikeouts. Number 2, Jackson Rutledge, the improvement we are seeing from him. How about that? I mean, who saw that coming with the kind of season he was having? Big out that he got in that 8th inning. And Jose A. Ferrer. I mean, I don't think we can throw enough bouquets at this guy for what he's done. Kyle Finnegan, the Nats' previous closer, traded to the Detroit Tigers on July 31st, what was 2025 MLB trade deadline day. Your Jose A. Ferrer stats since inheriting that role of Nats closer / ace reliever. 12 games, 2 runs in 14 and a third innings, 14 strikeouts versus 2 walks. Ferrer has taken the ball and run with it at 100 miles per hour. I mean, he has just been so good, and this Nats bullpen continues to soar.
And he, in this case, did it 3 days in a row. And that's a big deal as well. You never know on that third day what kind of stuff you're going to have. And he labored just a little bit. There were some long at-bats there, but he got the job done. I think it applies to everybody in this current bullpen, but I think it really applies to Ferrer. He understood that it was time to step up. No more inconsistencies outing to outing where you don't know what you're going to get, the good Ferrer, the bad Ferrer. No more feeling of, well, if I get into a jam, they can always bring in the other guy to get out of it and then come back and pitch the 9th as well. No, he's the last man standing now. And he has taken some real pride in that. I give him a lot of credit. Sometimes the higher leverage role, the more important role, brings out the best in you. And I think he's clearly been a better pitcher as the closer, as the 9th inning guy than he was as the setup guy. Good for him for being able to do that. Rutledge, that's the spot they probably recently had been going to Clayton Beater, but he, I assume, was unavailable from as much as he has worked. You're throwing him into the fire there in a huge spot. He has not pitched in a lot of those kind of situations, and when he has, it hasn't often been good. Got out of it. Good for him. Maybe a little boost of confidence. He's turned it better. I think everybody in this group, there's like a collective feeling of, okay, everybody out there believes we are the worst bullpen, maybe of all time, let alone just of this season. And we've undergone so much change, and we're all these cast-offs just kind of thrown together here to finish out the season. Let's come together and try to make something happen, and they have. It would be great to see this continue. It's still not a long enough stretch to say that it's legitimate in the bigger picture, but it's been great to see, and it's been great to see that it's pretty much everybody involved making it happen, and it's not just one or two that they have to rely on every single night. There's a lot of guys stepping up, taking a personal pride in saying, we're not going to go down as the worst bullpen ever. We're going to at least finish out this year strong and tell whoever's in charge of this team next year that we should be a part of it.
It shows you how random, how volatile relief pitching performance in MLB is, that you can go from having a horrendous bullpen to having a lights-out bullpen all within one season. You don't see this with any other unit on a baseball team. You almost never see an offense in baseball go from really bad to really good, or from really good to really bad, unless guys get hurt. Same thing with starting pitching. Like, usually you either have good starting pitching or you don't. It's rare that you go from having a rotation that's terrible to excellent in one season, or vice versa. But with bullpens, you see this. You see this actually a lot, where the bullpen is like a roller coaster throughout the year, and you just hope that there are more highs than lows. It is such a unique animal, the bullpen in baseball, and how you put it together, the extent to which you can't count on anything, both good and bad, and how much of it is just like you cross your fingers and you just hope that things kind of work out. And right now, things clearly are working out for this Nats bullpen.
And it's funny how they do feed off each other. When things are going really bad, it doesn't matter who they put in. They're just going to keep the downward slide going. And I think sometimes it's a mental thing. They fear. They know, okay, God, I guess I'm going to be the next one to blow a game. And it happens. And then when they're going well, like they are right now, they don't want to be the one to screw that up. And it's almost like, okay, hey, everybody else is pulling their own weight. I better do it as well. And it brings out the best in all of them. It's been a great thing to see. I don't know what to make of it in the bigger picture, except to say that what these guys have done in pretty much every case is at least put themselves in the running for jobs next year, when not that long ago we would have said, they have to completely overhaul the bullpen again. I don't know that any of them, aside from maybe Ferrer or perhaps Cole Henry, really looked like they were part of the long-term plan. And you could say now that a bunch of them at least have a chance to be part of that again, and good for them for figuring it out.
Hey, if they have found a legitimate closer in Ferrer, like if nothing else, if they have found that, that is gold. And Ferrer so far looks the part. He has been phenomenal. The Nats offense in this 5-2 win over the Marlins on Tuesday evening was good. 5 runs, 10 hits, 1 walk, 5 for 16 with runners in scoring position. The 10 hits were a home run, 4 doubles, and 5 singles. James Wood hit the home run. Very nice to see that. Wood, as the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter, went 2 for 5 with a 2-run homer and a single. Wood in the Nats 2-run fourth had a 2-out opposite field 2-run homer to left field for a 5-2 Nats lead. So we see James Wood do as we know he can do, go oppo for the home run. But this was Wood's 3rd homer since July 9th. That's it. And the homers have dried up. We've talked about that. But man, is that a jarring stat? Just 3 home runs for him since July 9th. His home run total for this regular season now is at 27, and it's amazing. Him getting to 40 seemed like a slam dunk at one point. Him getting to 30 now is no guarantee. Now, I'd like to think he's going to get to at least 30, but you can't assume that with the way that things have been going. So hopefully this does get him going, but we've had this conversation many times in recent weeks of, okay, James Wood was good in this game. Maybe he's finally getting going here, and it hasn't really happened. And so we'll see what takes place from here. But that was an impressive homer. He had a multi-hit game, and it was nice to see that.
Well, what was good about that at-bat, it was a strange game for him. His first 2 at-bats, he swings at the first pitch and puts it in play. Singles in his first at-bat, grounds on double play in his second at-bat. We know that's not normally his style to be that aggressive. And he said that wasn't by design. He just saw a good pitch to hit and put the bat on the ball. Well, he gets to the third at bat and he finally works it a little bit, and he gets to a 2-2 count. He fouls off a couple of tough pitches. He's been pitched really tough through all this. Everything ends up at the knees or on the outside corner, and sometimes he takes for a strike, sometimes he swings and misses at it. What he did a good job of in that bat was the stuff that he couldn't really do damage on, he at least fouled it off, kept the at bat going, and then he finally got the pitch he could do something with, a fastball up and over the plate, and he did exactly what you want him to do with it and drive it to left field. That was vintage James Wood right there. Drive a ball to the opposite field over the fence for the home run. You hope there's more of that to come over this final month. He felt like that was a good sign. He's in a good place with his swing. Now, he did go and strike out the next 2 at-bats, unfortunately, as the total continues to rise. But I think overall, he's got to feel like this was a good night for him, especially when you see that kind of result from him, which we have not seen enough of recently.
He's got to get to at least 30 home runs. If he doesn't get to 30 off how well he was doing, that's going to be a real bummer. So hopefully he can at least do that. Like I said, he should be able to do that, but no guarantee with how things have been going.
For those interested in learning a new language, whether it be Spanish, French, or something else, check out Babbel. Babbel's 10-minute lessons are quick and handcrafted by over 200 language experts, ready to get you talking about your new language in just 3 weeks, because talking is the key to really knowing any language. Designed by real people for having real conversations, Babbel gets you talking. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee, so no pressure. Here's a special limited-time deal for our listeners right now. Get up to 60%, that's 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for Nats Chat listeners at Babbel.com/NatsChat. Get up to 60% off Babbel.com/NatsChat. Spelled BABBEL.com/NatsChat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Pitch on the way. Dalen Lyle swings and loops one. Into shallow left, falls in for a base hit. Abrams in to score. The Nationals lead 3-0. Dalen Lyle is 2 for 2. A double, a run scored, and now his 24th RBI with that looping single to left. The Nationals have scored in back-to-back innings. It's a 3-0 lead.
Dalen Lyle, he continues to do well. He is the Nats starting DH and number 5 batter, 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI single. Lyle, for the month of August, had an OPS of 771. His September is off to a really nice start. He in the 2-0 win over the Marlins on Monday afternoon as the Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, 1 for 2 with an RBI triple, a walk, and a stolen base. It's funny. I mean, a few weeks ago, Dalen Lyle routinely serving as a DH, you would have said, what? But right now, it makes total sense. He's maybe the most consistent hitter on the team in recent weeks, and 2 productive games so far in this series against Miami.
Yeah, you take advantage of the bat and not have to worry about the glove, and that's fine right now. He has really turned it around, and credit to him. As you said, I think the other night you asked me, is he their best hitting outfielder? And I was pushing back and saying James Wood I still think is, and Wood did homer. But Lyle has turned into a pretty consistent offensive force for them over the last month or so. It's been a great thing to see because some of the other young cornerstones have not done that, not with any consistency. Dylan Cruz, after a nice little spurt there when he came back, has cooled off again, swinging at a lot of bad pitches out of the zone, not making quality contact. Brady House, when he does play, hasn't been doing a whole lot. Robert Hassel, when he does play, hasn't been doing a ton. So it's actually really nice to see one of the young potential cornerstones in Lyle producing like this, and in some ways even elevating himself above the others who probably came into the season with a higher pedigree, a little higher on the depth chart. And Lyle is the one who may come out of all of this saying, no, I'm the guy who needs to be a part of the everyday lineup in 2026, and the rest of you have to fight for those other spots that are remaining.
Yeah, just to be clear, because I know how people will take things. When I asked you that question, it was right now, at this point in time, is Dalen Lyle the best hitting outfielder on the Nats? Overall, of course, James Wood is the best hitting outfielder on the Nats. But right now, Dalen Lyle, you can count on him, it feels like, to do something productive offensively, game in, game out. You feel that way, too, about Riley Adams. He is the Nats starting catcher and number 6 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI double. This off a bunch of moves for the Nats at catcher. So we have a new catcher with the Nats. They, on Tuesday afternoon, announced having agreed with free agent catcher Jorge Alfaro on a 1-year contract and having option catcher CJ Stubbs to AAA Rochester. Alfaro, a veteran MLB catcher, comes to the Nats off having played in 82 games for AAA Nashville in the Milwaukee Brewers organization this season, his age 32 season. And how about Stubbs getting optioned to Rochester one day after that feel-good day on Monday? He makes his MLB regular season debut and serving as the catcher in the shutout win over the Marlins. And then it's bye-bye CJ Stubbs, at least for now, optioned to Rochester. The Nats on Tuesday afternoon also announced having transferred catcher Drew Millis to the 60-day injured list. And catcher Keibert Ruiz has begun a minor league rehab assignment. So a lot to process here for the Nats at catcher. What were your takeaways from all of the activity at catcher?
My first takeaway, unfortunately, was, man, baseball can be a cruel sport, can it? You feel for CJ Stubbs. You have to feel for him. Such a nice moment for him at age 28 to make his major league debut, to be a part of a shutout, to share it with Andrew Alvarez. He was so happy after the game, and then to show up for work the next day and be told, hey, sorry, we're sending you back to AAA. I feel for him. Now, look, he is not shown that he is a hitter at any level of baseball. Maybe a good defensive catcher, good guy. Everybody likes him. He's not part of the long-term plan here. They're not losing something there that would have been a big piece of this for them. But you can't help but feel bad for him under the circumstances. Alfaro provides experience, a bigger bat, certainly from the power department. It's something that they probably could have used all along. But he also hasn't been in the big leagues in 2 years now. His best days are long past him when he was with the Phillies. and the Marlins. And, had they made this move a month or two ago, I kind of understand the value of it. With 1 month to go, was it really necessary? Is this guy going to make that much difference the rest of the way? I would imagine Riley Adams is still going to get the bulk of the starts. Couldn't you have gotten by with Adams and Stubbs and potentially with Ruiz now coming back in theory? He caught 5 innings. It looks like everything went well in his first game for Harrisburg. He's going to DH on Wednesday, and then, we'll see what happens after that. It felt a little unnecessary and so late in the year to make a move like that. I'm not sure what exactly they think is to be gained, how much difference there is. Yes, side by side, Alfaro is a more experienced player and better hitter than CJ Stubbs. But how many games are we talking about the rest of the year the backup catcher is going to play? 6, 7, 8, something like that. Is that really, worth it at this point? I don't know, but, we'll trust that they know what they're doing here.
Yeah, well, what if Riley Adams gets hurt? I mean, Drew Millis got hurt. If Adams gets hurt and you got to go with somebody else as your full-time catcher the rest of the year, maybe the fear was we don't want to put CJ Stubbs in that spot. Can we take a moment to highlight the cold-blooded nature of Mike DeBartolo as Nats interim GM? Nathaniel Lowe hits a grand slam. Next day, DFA'd. CJ Stubbs has this feel-good debut. Next day, optioned to AAA Rochester. Dare I say there is something to be admired here, that Mike DeBartolo is ruthless, and I think this organization could use some of that. So listen, we're all about, being nice and kind. At the same time, you want a GM who is always going to do what is in the best interest of the organization. Mike DeBartolo, clearly not overly sentimental when it comes to transactions.
Al Galdi has been swooning all day back at home with these kind of moves. That's your kind of guy. I'm a little more on the sentimental side. I feel for a guy like CJ Stubbs, not to mention it's a great story what he's done. But yeah, sometimes you have to be cold-hearted in this business. And maybe the Nats at times over the last 5-6 years have been a little too sentimental, and that's been to their detriment. Maybe it is time to be a little more cold-hearted, and we'll see where it goes.
You earlier mentioned Brady House. I don't want us to have this conversation yet again, but House not playing once again. Paul DeJong, starting third baseman, number 8 batter, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. What are we doing here? Can we please stop doing this? This has become absurd. I mean, you think about the setting on Tuesday evening, Nats Marlins at Nationals Park. There were about 15 people in the ballpark at first pitch. The official attendance, 12,372. It's a lost season for both teams. The Nats are in a really bad way, as we have been discussing for months. Play Brady House. What Miguel Cairo is thinking here with a Paul DeJong, who, as we have noted, has cooled off, is mind-boggling at this point.
That's the biggest thing for me. It's not like DeJong is hitting. When he was a few weeks ago, you could make a convoluted argument for it, but he's not hitting. Now, neither is Brady House, but at least one has the ability or potential to figure it out and start hitting and actually set himself up for next season, as opposed to the other one who we know is not part of the plan for next season. As Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that.
Mike DeBartolo, if you want to be ruthless to an even higher degree, maybe it's time to have a conversation with their interim manager about who's playing third base. So the Nats have an opportunity for a 3-game sweep. How nice would that be? Game 3 against the Marlins, Wednesday afternoon at 1:05. Mitchell Parker will be the Nats starting pitcher. He had been reeling. His last start went well. An opportunity here for a second consecutive good start given the opposition. We'll see. Cade Cavalli bounced back from his bad outing with what he did on Tuesday evening. Parker's coming off a bounce-back start. Let's see if he can make it 2 consecutive good starts.
Well, as we've seen, the Marlins do not impose a lot of fear on you from their lineup. So if there's anybody that can get you hot again for a guy who's struggled like Mitchell Parker, this might be the right matchup, but we will see. One other note to point out, I think this is kind of a subtle little thing we found out today. Mackenzie Gore played catch only 4 days after he went on the IL. So the shoulder inflammation, while it raised red flags and caused everyone a big scare, and no guarantee that he is coming back to pitch this year. But the fact that he is throwing already 4 days later, and it sounds like everything went well, that's a really good sign that even if he doesn't come back to pitch, that it does not appear to be anything all that serious.
That was good to see. And the Josiah Gray update that you had on Tuesday, is that indicative that he may well pitch in a game at the major league level this season, or are we not to take the update that way?
Well, he threw 2 quote-unquote innings of live BP in West Palm Beach, 30 pitches. So that's a step up. Every time he takes another step up, that's a good sign and one step closer to where you would need to get. Now, we've talked about the compressed window of opportunity here. That at least says to me that there's still time for him to maybe go pitch in the minor leagues before it's all said and done. So even if it doesn't happen at the major league level, maybe there are a few minor league games, and that's something for him to hang his hat on as he goes into the winter. But it's slim. I mean, it's a narrow window of opportunity still. But if he was able to throw 2 innings and 30 pitches to live hitters on September 2nd, then maybe there is still a chance that we would see him in a big league game before the end of September.
Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. Email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Now the windup, the 1-2 pitch from Alvarez. Swinging a dribbler out in front of the plate. This will be a tough play. Stubbs has it. The catcher throws on the move to first, and he gets his man by a step. CJ Stubbs' first play in the major leagues. He has to range about 20 feet out from behind the plate to throw out a speedy runner on a tapper up the first base side. Good play for Stubbs.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.